Hello traders, it's Sunday, June 25th. We're going to start the video off with a review of our previous pick. We're going to do some market analysis. Then we're going to find a new pick. That's how all these videos work. I want you to see how these picks have panned out. Then you'll get the confidence that you need to trade this system. Mara was the last stock that I highlighted, M-A-R-A. I loved this nice long green candle through major horizontal resistance, closing on its high. When I did the video last Wednesday, the stock was adding to these gains and challenging this horizontal resistance. I viewed that as very positive follow through. Here's another key: on heavy volume. That's what tells us the institutions are in there. But I also mentioned to you that I didn't like the way the market was pulling back. This is the SPY daily chart tucked in the background here, and we've been drifting lower off of the high. So there was no reason to chase. And what we've been doing in the last few videos is we've been setting alerts so that we buy dips. Those are the instructions that I gave you on Mara. So when the stock loses its relative strength to the market and then regains its relative strength, that's when we enter the trade, provided that the market is still on sound footing. So let's take a look at what we've got on the 5-minute chart for Mara. And we'll go back and, well, we'll go back to Thursday as well. And you can see Thursday, this is the opening right here. The stock sold off all day, so it was relatively weak. Well, it's had excellent gains. Stocks are making moves where you see 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. So you're not getting a lot of breakouts that just absolutely go, 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 because that's not what the market's doing right now. The market is in a stair step rally. So Mara pulls back hard, puts in a nice low. There's your relative strength right in here. It regains its relative strength. So the market continues to go down. The stock finds support. You get long in here. Thank you very much. So we go into Friday. You get a nice little dip in the stock Friday morning. Stock regains its relative strength right in here. Folks, this is the strategy that you should be using. This was an excellent pick. The stock is right back on its high, and we can tell that the institutions are still in there because we have nice, heavy volume. So this is the tactic that you would use. Set these alerts, right-click, create alert, and so this one will trigger tomorrow. And it looks like Mara finished a little bit below SPY. It finished a little bit relative weak here. So what I'm going to be doing is setting this alert on a 5-minute basis, and I simply want to know when this orange line goes from negative to positive. And so I'm going to add that alert so I don't have to mark this checkbox because the condition is already false, meaning that it's below 0. So I'm just waiting for it to go true. But in many instances, I'm going to click save and that alert will be live. In many instances, if the stock is already strong and we want to get long, so in here, perhaps we're setting alert looking for this dip. In that case, the condition's already true. It's already strong relative to the market. So we need it to be weak relative to the market, and then we need it to be strong relative to the market. And that provided a nice little rally in the stock right there as well. So we're going to be using the same tactic. Let's take a look at the market. Let's do our analysis. I will tell you that we're heading into a major holiday. So we've got 4th of July falling on a Tuesday in a week. That means that Monday is also going to be a day when traders are taking time off. People in general are going to be making this into a 4-day weekend. Why do I care about that? Well, because this week is likely to be very slow as well. So people are going to be extending that 4-day weekend as much as they possibly can. And I believe that the volume Thursday and Friday is already going to start waning. And that means that we're headed into a fairly light volume environment, low probability trading environment. That means you keep your size small, you keep your trade count down, you focus on stocks that have big breakouts and heavy volume, just like we always do, but it's even more important now because you don't have a market tailwind. The stock is going to have to do all the work, and that's why we want massive volume, because that tells us that even though the overall market may be very lackluster and very dull, right now, institutions are interested in this stock and it has a chance to move. So if we take a look at what the market's done, we are in a news vacuum. So this week in here, we had CPI, PPI, everybody's watching inflation, FOMC statement. Big, big news. So the market rallied up. We also had triple witching, which I believe that a lot of this move was the result of institutions rolling their positions and having a decent market tailwind. So this move got overextended. Well, since then, we've had no news. No news. Market starts pulling back in. We've got some profit taking. Now, this is going to be second quarter window dressing this week. Many funds have to rebalance. And when you have the market running much higher through the course of the quarter, and the bond market going lower during the course of the quarter, these funds have to keep their percentages equal. Well, that means that now stocks represent a larger percentage, so they have to sell some stocks and they have to buy some bonds. That's what rebalancing is. And so that's creating some selling pressure. We're probably going to continue to see some of that selling pressure and light profit taking. We don't really have any news this week that's going to be big. Durable goods orders, very volatile number, not typically a market driver. We've got the official PMIs coming out for China and Europe toward the end of the week, and Japan, US. Okay, those numbers will have some influence, but we don't get the jobs report until a week from Friday. July 7th is when the jobs report is going to be released. So all of that big economic news has been pushed until after the holiday. Again, that means that this is likely to be a low volume week, low probability trading environment. We have GDP coming out. Well, this is the third look at Q2 GDP. Usually that first look is the most current, and then you get a revision each subsequent month. Well, by now the number starts to stabilize, so that GDP number and the PCE deflator not gonna mean that much, especially when there aren't a lot of market participants because of the upcoming holiday. So all of this together gives you your context. And your context right now is the market is still in an uptrend. We've got a nice uptrend here. We've got a little bit of profit taking off of the high. Once the market finds some support, I'm expecting it to challenge this high. So I am still favoring the long side, but I'm not go gangbuster long here. I'm not looking to establish longer term swing positions. Shorter term swing positions, fine. If you have these really strong stocks that I'm going to be highlighting, then you definitely can enter those on pullbacks. And if you're day trading, that's fine too, because you're staying very flexible and you're also waiting for those pullbacks. So that's the strategy that you should be using. And if we take a look at the price action on Friday, you can see we had a gap down. Support was established. 1, 2, 3, really nice levels of support. We were not able to fill in that gap on the first attempt, but the market did try and get back to that halfway point. This was kind of a little surprising to me because we had a decent decline. Late day selling on decent volume. This is the best volume of the day we saw on this little decline, and it came late in the day. What does that mean? Well, that means that the market couldn't fill in the gap in here. We saw additional selling pressure, which is kind of what I expected. The previous day, right out of the gate on Thursday, boom, 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 we rallied and filled the gap. So we had a gap down, boom, 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 filled that gap instantly. Okay, that's mildly bullish for the day because it tells us that buyers have some say in the matter. They are interested at this level. So the next day, anyone that buys here and perhaps holds some overnight swing trades, they're kind of looking for the market to be able to continue off of this support level. And when they don't get that and they get a big gap down, all of a sudden they become much more passive. And think about yourself. If you had taken a swing trade and held a long overnight position based on the price action you saw Thursday, and then you get this big drop, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? It's not gotta have it, go, 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 gonna fill this gap instantly like we did the day before. You're gonna be thinking, I really expected better out of the market than this. So I'm gonna be relatively passive. I'm gonna wait to see. I'm gonna make sure that that support is intact. And so while you're waiting, you see the market struggle to get back to the halfway point, and then now all of a sudden you start to see some late day selling. You're going to be more passive. So I think you're going to see some fairly passive buying until the market puts in that nice hard low. We did have some news over the weekend, very encouraging news for the Ukraine. All of you have probably seen the headlines that the Russian mercenary group Wagner started to march on Moscow. I'm not going to get too far into the details, but needless to say, this is going to weaken Russia's hand. This is going to bode well for the Ukraine. I don't know how that news is going to play out overnight. I would expect that it might have a bullish bias overnight. It's going to take some uncertainty out of the picture, should provide Ukraine with an opportunity to advance even further and recapture more of their territory. Perhaps it helps grain prices. All of this is unknown right now. Does it mean that Putin's pushed further into the corner and that he might do something outrageous? We don't know right now. I don't know that anyone's going to know. We can watch the reaction. In general, the market's been able to digest everything that's going on in the Ukraine. Certainly, conditions have not worsened, and this market trend is still intact. So I'm still going to be operating under that premise, but watch the futures tonight. There's likely to be a reaction. So let's take a look. Let's find a stock. Let's understand that this is going to be a very light volume week and that we better find a good one. We better find a stock that's got some volume in it. So I'm going to go into my searches and I'm going to look at Pop Bull. This is one of my favorite swing trading searches. For any of our day trades, we want to like the stock on a longer term swing basis anyway. So I go to the top of the list. This is a new feature that we added to Option Stalker Pro. If you look through all of the columns here, you can set these columns up in whatever fashion you'd like. Personally, I like to see heavy volume on a 5-minute and 15-minute basis and a daily basis. So I know that for today, when I see these blue dots, this stock has excellent volume. And then I'm looking for a buy signal on a 5-minute, 15-minute daily basis. And then I'm looking for strength versus the S&P 500 on a 5, 15, 30, 1 hour, 2 hour daily basis, all time frames. So when I look at the chart, I can instantly go, hey, this one looks pretty dang good. Hey, this one looks pretty dang good. Very easy for me to go down the list and just look for blue and green dots consecutively. And I don't have to go really any further than the first stock on the list, KMX. Super easy. Hey, there's a little B here. This is a 5-minute chart that tells me that there were earnings before the open. Stock rallies up, checks that opening price, and continues to float higher. It held all of these gains. Hey, I like that. Volume, of course, post earnings, going to be pretty decent throughout the course of the day. So now I'm going to zoom out a little bit, take a look at that longer term chart. I'm liking this. This is a nice horizontal breakout. So let's zoom out a little bit more. In fact, let's put up some of our trend lines to see where these trend lines might be breached. Whoa! There are a lot of trend lines coming into play here. So let me zoom out and see if there are any really long-term ones that are of interest to me, some major trend lines that are breached. This is a very long-term trend line that has been breached. That is significant. This is a nice trend line that was breached on that gap up. This is a nice high plus trend line that was tested on Friday. These are all positives. This is a nice high plus trend line, and we have the volume, and we have relative strength. This stock has put in a triple bottom low. 1, 2, 3. That looks pretty good also. You could say this is an inverted head and shoulders because this is lower than the other 2 points. And there's a shoulder, there's the head, there's the shoulder, there's the neckline. Okay, so if you follow that particular pattern type, we have a bullish inverted head and shoulders breakout. Major trend lines, volume, relative strength. Checkbox, 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 checkbox. Oh yeah, market first. Checkbox, checkbox. The more checkboxes that we mark, the higher our probability of success. You get the market right, you get the stock right, your chances of having a successful trade increase dramatically. We've got everything we need in this stock. Pete told me to buy CarMax. I'm going to buy some Monday morning. Wait and see what the market does. Buy dips. There's no hurry to do anything. This is going to be a light volume week. So let's take these trend lines off just to clear up the chart a little bit. And let's put all of the major moving averages up. Hey, look at that. We're above the 200-day, the 20-day, the 50-day, the 100-day. Checkbox, 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 checkbox. This is how we do it, folks. This is how we get our odds of success up. We don't do it by compromising. We don't do it by gut feelings. We do it by making sure that technically the stock sets up well for us. I like KMX. That's going to be your pick for this week. So let's take a look at what that 5-minute chart looked like one more time, and then let's set up a game plan. Let me take off these major moving averages very quickly here so we can clear up the chart a little bit. And yes, I want to see this price point preserved, which is the opening from yesterday, and that is approximately $84. So stock looks good. We're looking for a pullback on the open. When we come in Monday morning, we don't want to see the S&P futures down 50 points because Putin could do something crazy. We're still a few hours away from even knowing what the overnight futures reaction might be. If the futures are up 50 points, we don't want to be in there going gonzo buying everything in sight. So I don't know that anyone knows how this is really going to play out as far as Russia and Ukraine. Let the dust settle. Let the market settle down a little bit. Maybe it opens flat. If it does, that's fine. Then we're going to be keeping an eye on KMX, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to use just a little bit longer term time frame instead of necessarily a 5-minute time frame. Maybe I'll go with a 15-minute time frame just to give the stock an opportunity to have a little bit of a bigger pullback. Some of these gains are probably going to be digested. You might see a little bit of profit taking. So I'm going to right click, create alert. Going to go into strong versus SPY. Going to select a 15-minute time frame. That condition is already true, so I need it to go false and then true. So I'm going to mark this box right here. I'm going to click save, and now that alert is set. So you can see on a 15-minute basis, it's already strong versus the S&P 500. So what I'm looking for is for it to go weak relative to the S&P 500, meaning dip, and then I want it to regain its strength And when it does that, that'll provide me with a really nice entry point to get long a very strong stock. This is exactly the tactic that I showed you at the beginning of this video. It's exactly how we would have traded Mara, and you can see how effective this method is. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'll try and get a video out Wednesday. Trade cautiously this week. Reduce your size, reduce your trade count. Look for those super strong stocks with heavy volume and nice technical breakouts and great relative strength. And focus on a handful of really good stocks. You don't need to spread yourself out too thin. Thanks so much. Trade well. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.